Our group today will be presenting the attributes of visual symbols. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so my name is Sayyidatul EIZZAH binti ZAMAKHSHARI. For today, I will be explaining on the attributes of visual symbols and colors. Next. Next. Okay, so visual symbols, it contains variety of symbolic elements that each suggest meaning to a viewer. The elements, when it is combined with others, where it is often contradictory. Azzahrah, back. Azzahrah, okay. When it is it portrays powerful messages when combined with other elements, which is often contradictory. As you can see on the picture on the right, uh, do you guys have the slides with you? I think
Yes.
Azza's line is not that good. So I think you can open your slides because I think Azza's line is not that good. Okay, so as you see in the picture, um, there are cigarettes and ruler, I think, ruler to measure lives. So they are contradictory, right? But they give such a powerful meanings on how long can you live. So that what um, visual symbol is. And there are many types of visual symbols. For example, drawings, sketches, or posters, and others. Okay, next. Next is the colors. Colors is one of the elements in the visual symbols. Colors, it has three dimensions, which are hue, saturation, and brightness. Okay, so what is hue? Hue is the color itself. Hue means the color. We have three primary hues, which are yellow, red, and blue, which these colors are used to create another colors. Next, we have saturation, the relative purity of the color. It means that it is the difference between black or gray, black and gray, or red and pink. The saturation is affected when black, gray, or white is added to the pure color. So the saturated colors is more simple and uncomplicated. Meanwhile, the less saturated colors, they are more subtle and neutral. So this is the example. On the left, we can see the high saturation colors. On the right, we can see the low saturation colors. The colors is not based on the lighting or whatsoever. It is based on how strong or pale the color is. Can you guys get me? We are on the slide number 9. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, next we have brightness. Brightness is the range of colors from light to dark color. Okay, so for example, next, Azzahrah. Okay, so for example, on the left, we have the with the low brightness, and on the right we have the picture with high brightness. So can you see the difference? Thank you, Ain. Okay, next. Okay, so each colors have meanings. So what comes into your mind when you see these pictures? Okay, so baby boy. Okay, so baby boy, during ancient Egypt time, baby boy were dressed in blue because it reflects the color of the sky. They believe the sky is where the god live, so that when baby boy wear blue, it can give them protection or power. And women who had red fingernails are often to be thought as in the highest social class. Fierce. Oh, okay. Okay, next. Okay, so our idea of the meaning of the what we call that about the meanings of particular color um, is related on how persuaders communicate with us, right? So like for dark blue, gray and black are often seen as power colors. Usually they use these colors to convey that they are the authority, and brown is seen as more friendly color. And color preference, they vary with ages. Youth may prefer warm and bright colors. Meanwhile, adults may prefer cool um, cool tone colors. And the persuaders, they use these attributes to convince their viewers. So I think that is all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Noor Azzahrah HANANI binti Noor Asmadi, and I'll be explaining form. Okay, form is another qualities of image that attracts attention and influences meaning that assigned to image. And it composed from three things, which are dots, lines, and shapes. The first is dots. Dots is the most fundamental elements of an image. Okay. Based on Lester, he stated that a dot is filled-in circle made with a writing implement. Uh, for example, a dot placed to one side of a paper, it will create tension due to imbalance. If we put two dots on a page, we will divide our attention between them. And if we put three dots on the paper, we mentally draw a line to connect the dots. Okay, this is the example, one dot, two dots, and three dots. So, pointillism. It is a technique of applying a series of dots to form a clear image. As you can see, they put a lot of dots, and then it creates a picture of Hermione, as you can see. So why do I say that dots is the fundamental elements of an image? Because this is a fun fact. Television screen actually is a collection of differently colored dots that combine to form an image in our mind. Okay, the second one is lines. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, lines. Lines are formed when a series of dots are placed close together. It is said that lines can evoke emotional response from the viewers. Why it is so? Okay, let's take a look of the type of lines first. Okay, there are 5 types of lines. The first one is the straight lines. Okay, if we see straight lines, it can indicate stiffness or rigidity, which means that Sometimes when we see straight line, we will think we need to go straight. We can't see left or right. We need to see straight. Okay, as for horizontal lines, it indicates space of or expansiveness. The third one is vertical lines. It creates divisions for the viewers. As for the diagonal lines, it have a stimulating effect on the viewers. The last one is curved lines. It communicates playfulness, suppleness, and movement. So that's why I said a line can evoke our emotional response. When we see different type of lines, we will like have different emotion, like different perception about the picture. Okay, the last one is shapes. Shapes are formed after few lines or group of lines come together. Okay, there are three basic shapes that we all know. First one is triangle. The triangle, it indicates actions, conflict, and tensions. As for parallelogram, it indicates dullness, honesty, and straightness. The last one is circle. It indicates endlessness, warmth, and protection. Shape also help to give an image its direction. For example, horizontal, vertical direction. It relates to something that like stability or balance. As for diagonal lines, it's the opposite of balance. Okay, other than that, shapes contribute to an image sense of balance. Okay, so balance is, like we all know that balance refers to how equally things that divided, I'm sorry, balance refers to how equally elements in the composition are distributed. Okay, Dondis stated that balance is the most important psychological and physical influence on our perception, which means that the presence or absence of balance can have a stabilizing or destabilizing effects on the viewers. There are types of balance. The first one is axial balance, axial balance. It is the elements of the composition that are arranged equally on both sides of imaginary axis, not axis, but axis in the composition. And it indicates formality, sophistication, and elegance. As for asymmetrical balance, it results from unequal visual weight from each side of the composition. It conveys stress, energy, and excitement. So this is the example of axial balance and asymmetrical balance. As you can see, the axial balance, okay, take a look at the picture. The tree is in the center of the photo, so it gives even distribution on the x-axis and y-axis. Okay. As for asymmetrical balance, as you can see in the picture, one side of the composition, it contains a dominant element where it might be stressing a message, an important message. Okay, take a look at the example of Marvin X. This act, it uses the principle of vertical direction and it applies axial balance. As you can see, the windows are placed in the middle of the photo. So these ads might be try to communicate with the customer that Marvin windows are reliable, weathertight, and secure. For the next ad, this Ford Expedition. This ad uses diagonal direction and apply a symmetrical balance. As you can see in the picture, slightly like it's not in straight direction or horizontal. It's like slightly diagonal. And it has a symmetrical balance. As you can see in the picture, the fort expedition takes a lot of space rather than human beings on the right side. So this message might the the company might trying to convey the message that the demands of work are outweighed by the call of adventure, which means that the company is trying to trust that uh, the buyers to buy for expedition the car to go to many places and for adventure. Okay, that's all for my part. I'll pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
To Azzahrah, hear me? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for my part, I will be explaining about lighting and specialty. If just now you learn about hue, saturation, and brightness from EIZZAH, now we will learn about lighting. So from Arthur Asa Berger, he stated that our ability to see anything is a function of how light is used in the image. So whenever we are able to see an object clearly without any problem, that is all because of lighting. Under the subtopic of lighting, there are two types of lighting, which is flat lighting and chiaroscuro. We'll go one by one. Okay, the first one is flat lighting. Flat lighting is a lighting that produces minimal contrast in the scene. As you can see in the picture, as you can see in the slide, there are two pictures that I've attached. So can you guess which one has the minimal contrast? You can type it in the chat.
The left one?
Yes, the left one, correct. Um, the left one has the minimal contrast because contrast is basically means the range of dark to light tones. So when it's extra low, you will see a flat image where there are no elements in the frame stands out. So that's why the first picture seems to be softer than the second picture. Um, Next. Okay, this is the tone charts of contrast. If we use a low contrast, the range of colors the will be on the area of dark gray to light gray. So that's why the image tends to be have a little bit of gray color in the background. Next. Okay. Flat lighting, they use a large light of source so that the light wraps around the subject, eliminating any shadows. If you can see in the picture, the first picture, it has two, two sources of light from left and right side of his face, whereas for the second picture, there are only one sources of light, which is on the right side of his face. So that's why the first picture tends to be more clearer, and there is no shadow or highlight on the face if you look at it properly. Whereas for the second picture, you can see that the circle that I put on the face, on the man's face, it actually highlight the shadows and um, yeah, it actually highlight the shadows on the part of his eyes and also at the forehead. So the bigger the light source, the softer the light will be. So that's why the first picture tends to be more softer than the second picture. Okay, this is another example of flat lighting. This is one of the scene from the soap operas television series, where soap operas is a television drama series focus on the daily events of the life of the characters. So when it is recorded live with multiple cameras, the lighting will tend to be very flat because they can't edit the lighting during the live recording. So Bergen notes that soap operas typically use flat lighting. As you can see in the picture, the picture tends to be very flat. So that's why it doesn't have any shadows in the background or in the face of the man. Okay, next. The benefits of flat lighting. First, it helps to hide imperfections in the skin. This is because when we use flat lighting, the low contrast will hide the shadows and highlight on the skin. So that's why the skin will appear more smoother without any freckles or flaws. And fashion or beauty industries often use flat lighting because uh, photographers tend to get that perfect look of their models, so that's why they use flat lighting. And if you have a passport with you right now, you can take a look at your picture. Um, your passport picture actually use flat lighting because you can see that your face is really smooth and there is no shadows. There is no shadows visible on your skin. Right? This is the example of passport picture, which is for the left one. The left one, you can see that the image of the lady is very soft and there is no highlight or shadows on her face. Whereas for the second picture, it is opposite of flat light, where you can see a visible shadows and highlight on the right side of her face. So next, the opposite of flat lighting is called chiaroscuro lighting. If flat lighting use low contrast, chiaroscuro lighting use high contrast. Chiaroscuro comes from Italian term, which is chiaro means bright or clear, and scuro, which is dark or obscure. So that's why it becomes chiaroscuro, which means light or dark. Now you might be wondering why the meaning of the chiaroscuro is light or dark, right? So next, okay, this is the reason why. Um, if if flat lighting use low contrast, they only focus on the dark gray and the light gray. But if we use chiaroscuro lighting, they focus on the tones of dark and light. So that's why it is called dark or light. Next. Okay, this is basically what I mean by they apply the light and dark concept of the photo. If you see in you can see in the image, the light from the left side of her face seems a bit more clearer than the dark side of her face. So you can see that the photographer actually wants to focus on the eyes of the lady's face. That's why chiaroscuro lighting is used so that it can highlight certain parts of the object. Okay, next. Okay, the advantages of using chiaroscuro lighting. It can create a strong individual effect revealing the structure of the face. As you can see on the previous slide, it actually highlight the bright side of the woman's face because they want to focus on the eyes of the woman of the woman. They want to focus on the eyes. So uh, chiaroscuro lighting also is a technique that creates a three-dimensional quality in image on a two-dimensional picture. as you can see in the picture, the right side, it's actually a 2D image, but when you apply chiaroscuro lighting, it can become, it will become a 3D image. So the third one is it creates strong shadows, typically associated with emotion or suspense, just like what you see in the picture. Um, um, it basically exhibit an emotion of suspense, right? Because we cannot see clearly the face of the man. Next, okay, horror movie usually make use of chiaroscuro lighting because they want to convey a message to the audience, um, whether they want to portray an emotion of suspense or maybe a curiosity to the audience. Next, okay, this is another subtopic under the attributes of visual symbols, which is speciality. Speciality means the use of space in an image. So whenever you see an advertisement or poster that use a lot of space and just a little amount of text or image, that is what called as speciality. And white space refers to the blank space in a layout. Um, so, white space is used to attract attention or communicate meaning. Okay, this is one of the example of using white space. Um, this is advertisement from the company on called OnStar. OnStar is basically is a telematic service where it provides information to a mobile sources like a cell phone or a car, where if you encounter any problems when you are driving, they will provide a live or virtual advisor. So this advertisement actually wants to convey a message to the reader about safety and security. Instead of using a lot of words, they only use S on S as their highlight, as their main heading, because they want the reader to um, focus on the text first, which is instead of using SOS, they use S on S, which is pronounced as suns. So what is suns? Basically on basically the on is the logo of the OnStar company. Okay, next. Okay, this is another classic example of using white space, which is from Volkswagen. This is a famous advertisement that is done by Volkswagen, where it wants to promote the Volkswagen car called Beetle. Instead of using a lot of cars in the image, they use only one car and just a small heading at the bottom of the poster, which is think small. So designer use white space on the design to draw attention to image used in the poster so that the reader will be curious on what is the poster is all about. Next. Next. Okay, white space does not have to be white because historically most publications have been black and white, so the blank space was always white. If your company is known to be red color or maybe yellow, you can use it as your white space. For example, McDonald's, uh, they are they are known for their colors of red and yellow, right? So we can use the color of red to become our white space. Next. Okay, the advantages of using specialty, it highlights certain text and image so that the reader can read the information much easier, so that it will also grab the reader's attention when there is no much information stated on the advertisement. The reader will be more interested to finding out the the advertisement is what the advertisement is all about. So the content will be retained in the reader's mind, uh, because there there are not too much words and image. So the 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 poster that we have taken a look at will be re, will be remain in our mind much longer, because it will be much easier for us to digest the information. That's all from me. We'll continue with the next presenter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NAJIHAH AHMAD NASRULDDIN, and sorry for the interruption. Yeah, and good morning. Good afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to present about the movement. There are three things to talk about in movement: the definition, the three types of movement, and how does it work. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. So movement is element of visual images. It means it is one of the elements that contributes in visual images. So humans are naturally attracted to the movement, and as persuaders see this chance, they start to see movement as a medium to communicate to the audience. So there are three types of movement, which are apparent movement, graphic movement, and also implied movement. So apparent movement is the sensation of the movement. So it is produced by the series of still images, and it is projected at a rapid speed. So why this happen is because when the movement occurs because of how our brain remembers and processes the still images. So if you see that the cartoon from Pingu, for example, it is a stop motion, or we call it motion pictures film. There are actually a set of still images, but then when they take a set of they take the picture, this set of still images of the Pingu, like this series at this one at one scene into another scene, and they project it at a rapid speed. So it will produce movement, but actually they are not even move at all. Okay, they are not moving at all. Okay. Okay, so graphic movement. So graphic movement is the motion of the eyes as they scan a field of view, or the way a graphic designer position elements so that the eyes move throughout a layout. Okay, for example, when you read this text, so your eyes will move in predominant standard, which is your eyes will move from the top to bottom and left to the right. So when this occurs, is actually you are actually comprehending the visual or the textual artifacts. So this is the important elements in visual communication, because the lack of understanding the basics of visual communication will make the interpretation, critique, and discussion of visuals become obsolete. For example, when you see the advertisement by the roadside, so there are some of them like it's not really appealing and obsolete. they are maybe the creator of the advertisements has lack of understanding the basics of visual communication that makes the advertisement looks not really appealing. Okay. So these are the examples for graphic movement. They have like diagonal, vertical, horizontal, curving, flowing, progressive. If you notice, when you see diagonal image, you will notice that your eyes will move in a certain way, isn't it, right? So that's how it is. Okay, so moving on to the last implied movement. So when you see, before I explain this, when you see the picture at the next page, you can see like the picture is actually moving in a wave-like movement, right? Isn't it? So this is how implied movement works. Is the motion that we perceive in some images. So that have been specially designed to produce the illusion of movement. So what happened when they produce the illusion of movement? It will allow the images to appear as if they are moving. So maybe if you stare at the pictures, you will see like it's a wavy one, and that's how it is. Okay. Okay, so the conclusion is like the elements of visual images suggest a range of inherent meanings, and others acquire meaning by the ways they are being used in different culture. So maybe like for example, I take from Chinese culture, they will see red as a sign, red color as a sign of a good sign, right? But then maybe other culture will think red sign as a warning or maybe a dangerous sign. So that's how different culture interprets different meaning of the visual images or symbols. And I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for bear with us, and sorry for the interruption. Have a nice day.